Aeroflot Flight 821. This plane crashed because the pilot, quite literally, didn't know how to read the dials in the cockpit. Oh, and he was drunk. A plane that was carrying 82 passengers, including children, crashed because the pilots couldn't read the indicators, and one of them was drunk. Oh, and one final thing. The pilots, and much of the crew, joined the airline through forged papers. When did all this happen? How did all this happen? September 14th, 2008. It was a typical day. The birds were singing, the planes were flying, and drunk pilots were crashing planes. In Moscow, at Sheremetyevo International Airport, one Boeing 737-500 is fueling up on the runway. It's going to embark on a pretty standard domestic route, flying from Sheremetyevo International Airport in Moscow and landing in Perm International Airport in, you guessed it, Perm. On board, there are 82 passengers, including 7 children and a baby, along with 6 crew members, making for a total of 88 occupants. Of the 6 crew members, there were 2 pilots, and both of them joined the airline through forged papers that showed that they passed pilot training. Incidentally, one of the passengers was Gennady Nikolaevich Troshev, who was awarded the Hero of Russia medal. He was a colonel general in the Russian army and was an advisor to the then president of Russia, Boris Yeltsin. However, he fell out of favor and was dismissed from his post as commander of Chechnya in 2002 by Vladimir Putin. He was also one who advocated for public executions of dissidents and freedom fighters, causing some to believe that the plane was sabotaged in order to kill him. Back to the plane. It was a Boeing 737-500 and was built in 1992, making it 16 years old at the time of the accident. On average, a plane is used for 30 years before being retired. The captain, Rodion M. Medvedev, had about 4,000 hours of flight time. For comparison, the average pilot will accumulate about 25,000 flight hours in their career. Of the 4,000 flight hours he had, about 1,000 of those were in the type of jet he was flying, a Boeing 737. 4 days before the crash, he just came back from a 3-week-long break. He had a clean history, he wasn't involved in any previous accidents or incidents. Now, onto the co-pilot, Rustem R. Aliberdin. He had about 9,000 flight hours in his career, although he was relatively unfamiliar with the Boeing 737 at only 236 hours in that plane. Onto the crash. The plane took off from Sheremetyevo International Airport in Moscow at 12:13 a.m. Moscow time. It was 3 hours later, as the plane was supposed to land, when the crash happened. The control tower at Perm International Airport established radio contact with the plane. After turning around to prepare for the landing, the control tower told the plane to turn west. The drunk pilot said no, and turned east. However, even though he turned the wrong way, the crew responded that they had turned the right way and that everything was fine. The control tower then lost radio contact with the plane. Since it was foggy, and since a pilot was drunk and wasn't used to the type of attitude indicators that Boeing used, Boeing's an American plane, Tupolev and Antonov were the Russian planes that they were familiar with, the plane briefly climbed, did a barrel roll, and crashed. Everyone on board died. The crash investigation showed that the reason for the crash was that the captain lost spatial orientation, which is a side effect of being drunk. The crew wasn't used to the fact that Boeing made its attitude indicators different from Russian planes, and that the captain had up to 0.11% alcohol in his bloodstream. The pilot was so drunk that he was audibly slurring his words in his communications with the control towers, and, as the plane started its sudden ascent before crashing, he said the plane was descending. He couldn't even tell the difference between going up and going down. He was very drunk. So, that's the story of how a drunk pilot crashed a plane, killing 88 people. If you liked the video, then be sure to subscribe and like. If you didn't like the video, then press the dislike button twice, and then, for good measure, press the like button. Thank you for watching Explained. New videos every other Friday.